Either Mike or Brianna. The meeting's recording, so you guys can start whenever you like.
Are you okay taking this, Brianna? We're not hearing you. Brianna, if you're speaking, we're not hearing you.
Actually, Mike, looks like Brianna may not be on right now.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the wrong phone number.
Here she goes.
Okay, in that case, I'll check. Okay. Hey, Brianna, are you there?
I am finally in. Sorry, that took a long time this time. 2 attempts. I made it. Kyle, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. You're all set to go.
Okay, thank you. I will go ahead and start. Okay, I'll read the formalities first. January 24th, 2022, MOA GBOS quarterly meeting. Girdwood Board of Supervisors, its committees and subcommittees are subject to the Alaska Open Meetings Act as found in Alaska Statute 44.62.310 and Anchorage Municipal Code 1.25 public meetings. The Girdwood Board of Supervisors operates under the Girdwood Public Meetings Standards of Conduct. Call to order at 4:04 p.m. I am Brianna Sullivan, co-chair of GBOS, Parks and Recreation and Cemetery Supervisors. We'll do a roll call. Mike?
Mike Edgington, co-chair and land use supervisor.
Jennifer?
Jennifer Wingard, public safety supervisor.
Amanda?
Sassy, road supervisor.
And is Guy here? Okay, I do not see Guy.
Guy emailed and said he would be probably a half hour late. He's in a meeting right now.
Okay, and he is our fire department supervisor. Any disclosures this afternoon from any of the board?
I had, oh, sorry, can I be recognized?
Yes, Amanda Sassy, go ahead.
I was on the Girdwood Trails Committee's master plan subcommittee. Yeah, so I had a hand up.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Sassy. Any other disclosures? Okay, I don't see any hands. As far as roll call for the rest of those present, could any municipal staff identify themselves?
Sure, I can start. It's Kyle Kelly, Girdwood Service Area Manager.
Margaret Tyler, GBOS staff.
Adam Tromley, Executive Director. Yep. Adam Tromley, Executive Director, Community Development, oversee real estate, Heritage Land Bank, and I'm also the real estate director.
Thank you, Mr. Trombley.
Amy Demboski, Municipal Manager.
Thank you, Mrs. Demboski. Anyone else on the call for staff? Okay. I'll go ahead with the rest of the agenda. January 24th, 2020 MOA GBOS quarterly meeting agenda draft. The announcements. The public is encouraged to ask questions and provide comment, please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. To help discussions stay productive, please direct your comments to the board rather than other members of the public and keep your comments focused on the business under discussion. Please be respectful to everyone's opinions. Agenda number 1, we have introduction and welcome. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. I know you have busy schedules and it's important that we all meet quarterly. So I thank you for that and I apologize for my lateness. Number 2, status of funding repayment from October 2021 storm damage.
I could give an update on this. We have moved into the recovery phase. As GBOS knows and the administration knows, the governor from the request from the mayor has amended the declaration for the Halloween weekend disaster, which was a regional-wide thing. And the municipality, particularly the Girdwood service area, was amended into that, and the mayor and the governor approved that. And so the EOC, the MOA, Emergency Operations Center, and myself are working with the state Emergency Operations Center as they will process our request for reimbursement. And so last Thursday, we had an initial meeting with them, which basically was the briefing on the declaration and our requests, and basically starts the process with them. So we have a dedicated staff dedicated staff member from the EOC who is handling this recovery. She's a recovery specialist, and so she's helping us through that along with the EOC director. So so the process is moving forward. We're now with the state, so it will take some time to work that through, but it is a positive momentum forward.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Are there any questions? I see a hand. So Mike, please go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, so we obviously have some of the money we've expended, or we used to pay for the immediate costs, came out of our emergency reserve. So we're going to have a need to replace that somehow. Is it clear yet whether we're going to get any movement on this reimbursement within the timescale we need to deal with for first quarter budget revisions? Or is it very unlikely we'll know more by that point?
It would probably be very unlikely we know more by that part. Our emergency reserve, I just looked at that again today. I think it's 126,000 that we need to replenish back into that account
Okay.
to make it work. So the way the state works, but you know, it could happen. We've already expended. We're right now collecting the checks as they come back. We have to show proof of payment, and so we will show those to the state, and we can make that go forward. So the way they're looking at it is expenses already drawn and paid for, and then expenses that we're going to have to still deal with going forward until we close out the request for reimbursement. So so it's just a matter of how fast the state turns it around. And from my experience, it's not super fast.
Thank you, Kyle. Anything else from the board? Mike, is your hand up again?
Actually, I do have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So although not technically the repayment, is there any, what are the options out there at the moment for the long-term replacement, for the permanent replacement of the bridge? And I'm interested in anything the Muni has in mind for this.
Well, one thing is that the administration just put forward a capital request to the state, and along with the port, it was the replacement or the permanent fix, which you're talking to is the fish culvert, and the one that's spec'd more for long range flooding was included in that request to the state, and I believe that was for the infrastructure funding.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board? I don't see any hands. Anyone from the public? or phones? Okay, anything from Mrs. Dembowski or Mr. Tremblay regarding the last topic?
I think Kyle covered it pretty well. We added it to our legislative program. It's a $2 million ask. It will be on the 125 Assembly agenda. So for tomorrow evening, it's agenda item 11A under capital projects. It's on page 7.
Thank you. Okay, we could go if there's any other comments. If not, we'll go to number 3 on the agenda. Girdwood Fire Department update on signed contract and payment schedule for 2022 and addition of Girdwood EMS funding as line item in future AFD budgets. I don't see Chief Weston on. Maybe Kyle could talk to this also.
Sure, I can. Yes, Guy or Chief Weston, we're going to speak to this. Chief Weston is not available today, and Guy is tied up in the meeting. But basically, I think the fire department is looking for clarification on where the signed contract stands at this point in time, as they have not received it. And then it sounds like they've worked out the payment schedule with Chief Shiragi and the finance staff there at AFD. So that is understood, which will be quarterly for 22. So they'll get quarter payments. And the first payment was off, but they're going to make that correction. And then I guess there was a question about for future budgets. It was recommended that the Girdwood EMS show up as an additional line item in the future AFD budgets so that it's clear to see where that money is and what it is for the coming year.
Thank you, Kyle. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, we're in this kind of weird space of GBOS is not the contractor, and we don't represent the contractor. We represent the people that are paying for the contract, or the taxpayers who are paying for the contract, and the people receiving the service. So I'm not speaking for the fire department anyway, but my understanding is the contract has not been signed, and it's kind of held up on this question of whether there's a cost associated in the contract or not. And I do not understand, as someone who's dealt with far too many contracts in my life, I do not understand why cost would not be part of the contract. It's an absolutely standard part of consideration. And again, I wondered if we can get some insight from the administration as to why that's become a holdup.
Thank you, Mike. This is Amy, Municipal Manager. I can't speak to this at this moment. I'm trying to get confirmation from OMB. Actually, as I have been trying in this afternoon to get confirmation. I think there has been a resolution, but I just don't want to get out ahead of it to tell you or to say what it was without 100% confirmation. So I will work on it throughout this meeting, and if I get the information, I'll be happy to circle back towards the end of the meeting with that information.
Thank you. That's potentially great news.
Thank you, Ms. Dembowski, for that as well. Chief Weston at our last GBOS meeting was pretty clear that any budget needs to have a total for them to sign, and that's been an ongoing issue. So I'll try to remember to circle back at the end of the meeting. Any other comments from board members or the public? Okay, I don't see any other hands. If that's,
could I?
Yeah. Yes,
could
please.
I just ask a question? It's not about that item. It's just a weirdness I'm noticing that there are 7 people listed. There are 7 presenters I'm seeing on Teams, but only 6 names. I'm wondering if there are other people from the administration on that haven't announced themselves.
Mike, that's me. I'm running 2 computers so I can see what the screen looks like and what the size of the font looks like.
Thanks. So there's Kyle and Kelly on today.
Correct.
Thank you.
And I just saw another name. Well, Mike, is that anything else, Mike?
That was it. It was just I just hadn't seen that before. Thanks.
And Nick Georgelis, are you available right now? I think you're on. but we're just talking about agenda item number 3. I didn't know if you have anything from the Girdwood BOD.
I just signed on to the meeting. I just heard my name.
Okay. We were just finishing agenda item number 3, which is about the Girdwood Fire Department update on signed contract and payment schedule for 2022, and addition of Girdwood EMS funding as a line item in future AFD budgets.
Okay. I don't want to have everyone reiterate everything. I guess the biggest thing from us is, are we at a final contract with a price on it?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Chief Weston wasn't here, and Kyle did a great briefing, but that is where we ended. But I didn't know if you had anything else also. If you think of
Nope,
something.
just that as far as the board goes, we're not going to sign a contract unless there's a dollar value on it.
Great.
That's all we have to add.
Thank you. Thanks for being ready to jump in. Anything else on item 3? Okay, going to number 4, reimbursement process for training funded by alcohol tax. Who would like to speak to this? And I see that for formality, Guy Wade is on the call now. So we have all of our GBOS board on. Margaret or Kyle, would you be able to speak to number 4?
Sure. I don't remember who put this on the agenda, but I think this relates to there was funding approved in the last budget for 22 in the Anchorage budget for reimbursement costs for training officers and first responders to deal with mental health crises. And so maybe the question is that when officers go through that or first responders go through that, how do we reimburse for that process to make it work? And in particular, we have a contract with Whittier Police who provide police service for us. So if their officers go through it, how do we reimburse it for them to do that? So I think that was the gist of the question, but I didn't put this on the agenda. So if anybody, especially from the board, who might want to speak to it, please do so.
Thanks, Kyle. I appreciate it. Jennifer, do you have anything from police and safety regarding that item? Still cannot hear you. Well, as Jennifer's audio gets fixed, I think.
All right, am I back on?
There you are. Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes, it's actually just what Kyle said anyway. I'm sorry, I can't add to that. That's exactly the question, is just the mechanism of reimbursement.
Okay, great. Then it sounds like we have a question for a municipal staff, if you can answer that one. What is the mechanism?
Thank you. This is Amy Domboski. I will take a stab at that one. Mechanism for reimbursement for Girdwood Fire Department for the training for mental health, the mental health care training for clinicians. I am assuming you would submit your receipts to the Anchorage Fire Department, but I will double check for sure, and I will follow up with an email, and I'll just send it out to I'll send it to Girdwood Fire, but also CC the GBOS so everybody knows.
Great, thank you for that. And I know that Whittier Police had training also, and they'll have their own budget for whichever month that was completed for all of their staff. Anything else on that topic from the board? Or the public? Okay, I'll go on to number 5 then. We have HLB topics. The first one is Girdwood Industrial Park sale of lots in phase 1. We'll talk about that first, and then in Girdwood Industrial Park Phase 2 for the other two. We'd like to start this one.
I've got no information to add, but I've definitely got a couple of questions. I can start with those if you'd like.
I think that would be great.
Okay, so yeah, I believe at least the sale of lots in Phase 1 either is about to be or has been presented to the HLB Advisory Commission, but I'm not sure where it stands. And really what I'd like to get a sense from maybe from Adam is what the overall plan is for the industrial park, when we should expect to see action. You know, what's the sort of time scale and what's the sort of next set of activities? It's such a critical piece of infrastructure, and it's kind of, you know, we saw the development several years ago starting, and it's kind of been very stationary since, and there's a very large need both from the people there and other people who'd like to use the land.
This is Adam. I'll be happy to get you more information if my memory is correct on this. The sale of it, I believe,
Adam?
The first choice is, yes.
Sorry, this is Shelley. Can I?
Oh, hey, oh, Shelley, perfect. You're there. Great.
Yes.
Go for it.
Shelley Roughton, Land Management Officer for HLB. Phase 1 lots are introduced tomorrow night at the Assembly with public hearing on February 8th. Phase 2, an RFP will go forward this spring for private development. It will be a sale, not a partnership, but an RFP will assess the ability of the private party to not only purchase the land for Phase 2, but develop. So we'll look at experience, capital, plan, those kinds of things before we turn over the property. And once that is platted, we will expect the portions, the remainder portion, so the creek, the trail, those kinds of things, to revert back to HLB. I've had quite a bit of interest from private parties, and there's no way HLB will have the capital or the time to do that in the next 5 years. So it is in the interest of the businesses of Girdwood and the Turnagain Arm that we let the private sector do that for us.
Thank you, Shelley. I have one follow-up with that. The February 8th public hearing, where is that located? And virtually, where is it located?
That's the Assembly.
On February 8th. Okay. Thank you. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, firstly, apologies, Shelley. I saw your name in front of me, and I don't know why I didn't address the question to you through the chair. Can you? I missed one thing you said. The RFP sale or the RFP proposal is for the whole of sort of Phase 2 and Phase 3, or what we used to call Phase 2 and Phase 3. So it's everything that hasn't currently been platted. Is that correct? For the rest of the industrial park, with the intention of one developer will go and develop lots and then presumably resell those.
Correct, and we will
Okay.
work with legal to hopefully protect our current permittees. You know, if a developer is smart, we won't have to protect them, but we will, so that perhaps they'll have a right of first offer on the developed lots. But honestly, I've got enough people in line for those that they've got ready-made tenants or purchasers, so they would be smart to build to suit. And they would also be smart to go get a core permit to fill, and you know, HLB will of course help with that if they'd like to. The previous plat did not have any intent to go get a core permit to fill, and it resulted in some really probably unusable lots and lots that were too small, and that's a lesson we learned in Phase 1, I think. So
Thank you. You obviously preempted my next question, so thanks for that.
I know you too well, Mike.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? I think we have someone on the phone who would like to speak to number 5, Girdwood Industrial Park. One of the permittees.
Would that be for Bob Wolf?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. My name's Robert Wolf. I sole proprietor of Snow Free Plowing and Sanding in Girdwood. It is a seasonal business for me. I am a commercial fisherman in the summer. The state and the federal government are trying to shut my commercial fishery down for the summer, puts me in a pinch on planning how I'm going to continue planning for my businesses. In Girdwood, Snow Free Plowing, I do the Tesoro Speedway Express for 22 years down at the highway. I do the Girdwood School. I do Telemark Drive, Durand Drive, Saxby's Hill, Ahern's Apartments. I do the Gallery, Alaska Wildland. I do the Merc. I do Spoonline Restaurant. I do High Tower Grill. I do Seawolf Physical Therapy, the Ski Inn, the Clinic, Chair 5. I do the Police Station, Communication Shop. I do Ski View Condos across from the Merc. I do the Brewery. I do Powder Hounds. I do Bacasa Accommodation Rentals. I do Cedar Creek Condos. I do several bed and breakfasts. I do Challenge Alaska. I do Crystal Village with 10 units. I do 180 Taos with 3 units. I do the Sitzmort Condos with 5 units. I do Taos 12 with 6 units. I do Snowbird 4 with 44 units. I do Snow Ridge with 10. I do Glacier View with 6 units. I do the highest house in the valley to the Tidewater at the highway. I also plow the chapel. That is 2 climate zones. Above the bridge, it snows quite a bit. Below the bridge, it's rain and snow and very icy. I have just shy of 300 driveways that I do. I am at capacity. I am not going to take on any more business until I can expand my business. And right now, the biggest impediment is my wholly inadequate facilities at the Heritage Land or the Girdwood Industrial Park. I am frustrated beyond belief as a business owner in Girdwood, who is the basic, essential business that opens up this town every morning, whether it's rain or snow. And right now, I need a covered sand storage facility, which I have the coverall temporary dome, but I don't have a place to put it. And I don't have electricity in order to find nuts and bolts and tools and whatnot in my dark black Connex when it's storming and I have breakdowns. I am in a position that has been ignored by Heritage Land Bank. Their planning for Girdwood community is wholly inadequate. And if you sell phase 2, there is no plan right now as to what happens to the Girdwood Board of Supervisor lot or the lot that I now have a land use permit on. I could be kicked to the curb or outpriced in this endeavor. I need answers in order to continue my business, in order to continue servicing this community. If you have any questions, I'll take them now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wolf, for being here and explaining. Mike has one for you, or a comment.
It was actually a question probably for HLB, but I don't know if HLB wants to respond to Bob Wolf's comments.
Okay. HLB first can respond to Mr. Wolf.
HLB doesn't have a response at this time.
Okay, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess I'll rephrase what I didn't quite ask, but almost what really answered in your earlier response, Shirley. So I think you said it would obviously make sense for any private developer to take into account current permit holders. Can that be a requirement of the RFP? Because we have many people who've been there long term, and due to just kind of an accident of where they were before, they weren't included in phase 1.
you know, it could be a condition of the deed. You know, it wouldn't go into the RFP necessarily, but it could be a condition of the deed that permittees were, the permits were honored, you know, for a term of X number of years and, you know, didn't increase more than X percent. You know, kind of like a lease may be honored as a property changes hands. You know, like I said, I don't have the money or the staff. I've been the sole proprietor of HLB for the last 3 years. I've got 10,000 acres. I've got many projects, and I do the best I can. And I know that's not good enough for some people, but you know, we can only do as much as we have money for. We're not tax supported, and to do phase 2, we would have to install a lift station. It at this point would probably cost us about $7 million, and I do not have $7 million. So, you know, I feel like the best thing I can do for the community is to let private industry do it. They can do it cheaper, they can do it faster. So, you know, and I can't do a lease where there is no legal lot, and I can't make Chugach Electric install electricity where there is no, you know, site plan. You know, James paid for his own site plan to be drawn up so that he could get electricity. That's an option for any tenant, any permittee in the unplatted portion. So, you know, he kind of just took the bull by the horns and did it himself. So that's, you know, the best I can do. And obviously we will choose a RFP winner or bidder per se that, you know, will require that development commence within a certain amount of time, because we know Girdwood can't wait.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Shelley, this is Brianna. When you said in the deed, could you explain that a little more in detail?
Yeah, so when the title changes hands, you can put certain restrictions. One of the ones that we almost always put, because we don't want people to buy our land and bank it, we want them to develop it, is a reversionary clause. It says if it's not developed within, you know, 3, 5, whatever years based on the use of the property, that it revert back to HLB ownership, and the sale, the money, the purchase price be returned to the buyer. That's one kind of deed restriction or reversionary clause. So, you know, we can put those kinds of things in there. We'll have to work through legal. If there's financing for the development, you know, there are certain things that have to be done there, and we may have to massage that a little bit. But, you know, we will work to protect our permittees the best we can. They've been there a long time, and we do the best we can. I mean, you know, we make no money really on the industrial park. We make 8 cents a square foot per year. So, you know, we don't do it because it's a huge money maker. We do it because, you know, we know these guys need space, and we make it available. So I hope that kind of explained what a deed restriction does.
Thanks for explaining it, Shelley. Yes, it helps me a little more. Mike has his hand up next.
I promise this will be my last question on this topic, but is the RFP likely to be viewable before it goes out to the public, or is it going to be something we see for the first time when it's released to potential bidders? Because obviously,
yeah, I don't know that.
I mean, obviously, we may have feedback,
right? I'll have to check with procurement. I don't know that an RFP has ever been made available prior to going out to the public. You know, there's some ethics issues there. We can't really work with a whole lot of people on something before it starts looking like we're trying to pigeonhole for certain vendors. So I'll check with procurement.
Yeah, I understand that. Obviously, the issue here is it's a major community concern. So
yeah, definitely.
We would like at least some directionality on it.
Understood.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from anyone else on the call? I feel this is a pretty important topic, and we all know in Girdwood we cannot do anything without our road staff and services. They're absolutely integral and appreciated, to say the least. I could go then to the next topics under HLB, which is the Girdwood Residential 2021 Project Holton Hills. Oh, that is the other one before number 6.
I'll jump in. This is Shelley, HLB. We are really in no different spot than we were on December 22nd at the time of the community meeting. So there still is no development agreement. There are no applications into planning. Yeah, we're pretty much in the same place. We are planning on a June 2023 dig. There will be no site work in 2022. I think that's the only thing that's really definitively different. You know, of course, Connie was very optimistic that she would get in the ground this summer, but it's not realistic. So I'll take whatever questions you have for me or Adam, either one.
Thank you, Shelley. And you just said no site work. Could you repeat that statement? No site work this spring?
Yeah, so no site works intended as far as development. There will be investigatory work, geotech, probably some more surveying, that kind of thing, but no, you know, tree cutting, road building, that kind of stuff.
Okay, Mike has his hand up. Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. I think one thing that's kind of concerned a lot of people in the community is it seems part of the process is going very, very quickly. And I know that part of the process is not going very, very quickly. So on the HLB Advisory Commission, I know there was originally a public hearing going to be held next Thursday on the disposal of the land, and that's been moved to February. But at the same time, as you say, there's no application into planning. A lot of the details nobody knows yet, and are going to be discussed further down. You know, hopefully we'll get the information later on in the process. So can you say something about, or can somebody explain why some of this is going very, very fast and some of it is going much slower? And what is the scope of the public hearing in front of HLB Advisory Commission as opposed to the whole project scope?
Sure, I'll take a little stab at it. So, you know how long it takes, you know, sometimes to get from HLB AC to the assembly. If we have, Amy, please close your ears. If we had another mask mandate week, you know, we can get pushed back 6, 8, 10 weeks on an item. So as Connie begins to work through her financing, as we, you know, and we need to transfer the ownership to her and subordinate the land, you know, we need to accomplish those things well in advance of digging. And so we just try to get things done as far ahead as we can and plan for, plan for issues. I seriously doubt that that public hearing will happen next month or even the next. We had originally set this schedule when we thought we would be in the ground this June. So I think you'll see that slow down quite a bit also. Does that help?
I think that definitely helps. How do we communicate that more broadly? That the aggressive schedule is not realistic, and we're not probably going to be dealing with this until the public hearing until April.
We need to provide another update to the mayor. We provided one via memo, and perhaps we should provide one to the mayor and copy GBoss, and you guys can publish it however you want to, and maybe we'll give it some legitimacy that stops a little bit of the telephone game.
Yeah, I think it's understandable if it looks like the only, I know there'll be plenty of public input or opportunity for that, but it looks very much like it's just going to happen in a few weeks and not till. So we need to, anything you can provide would be very welcome. Thank you.
Sure.
Adam here. I also want to emphasize, when we put this together, I think it would be very helpful to understand the amount of entitlements that are going to be required for this project and the timeline associated with that. That's lined out in municipal code, public comment requirements, and those things are going to take a tremendous amount of time. And public comments at P&Z, public comments at the assembly, public comments for variances. There's going to be a tremendous amount. So I'll commit to you to helping when we do draft that letter or that memo to line out briefly the schedule that we look at before us. That doesn't include elimination of section line easements that are required by the state. So we'll help the community better understand all that's going to go into it.
Yeah.
Thank you, much appreciated.
Thank you, Adam and Shelley. That's very helpful. And I was just going to chime in that more communication would be better. So what you're suggesting about CCing GBOS for the memo to the mayor, and that way the community can learn something new, and always better information, more clear information is helpful, because a lot of the community heard or eventually heard the meeting on the 22nd of December, and then almost a month later, more people read the ADN article. So then they just need to comment and talk and learn what else they can learn, and be calmed down if they're not already.
Also, I will ask Margaret. I won't have Margaret do anything. I will ask Margaret to publicize a link to the updated 2022 work program. I just uploaded it today. I haven't uploaded the maps. That'll happen tomorrow. Brianna, you would ask me about that. And I think that will, there's not a lot of specifics about Holton Hills in there, but there is a ton about Girdwood. And so I think being able to read some of that maybe, will be good for Girdwood.
Okay, great. And also on all of the HLB topics, it looks like February 8th is not an assembly meeting for public hearing. So
that's correct. The assembly meeting is actually on the 15th. And I was sending Kyle a note as you talked. I'm so sorry. So the public hearing for the Girdwood disposal of real property at Woodland Park, at the industrial park, those are all set for public hearing on 2/15.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, that's okay. You're faster. I was literally just typing it to Kyle, so you saved me a text message.
Everyone saved everything there with too much communication, so we can all hear. Then So phase one, you said, Shelley, is tomorrow night at the assembly.
It's just the introduction.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like Amy said, the public hearing will be February 15th.
Okay, great.
If you heard that right.
Right, February 15th.
Yes.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the you mentioned the work plan. I think that the public hearing for the work plan has been pushed back to March, hasn't it?
It
Is there a
has.
date for that?
I originally published the program in February, and then I had all these thoughts that I wanted to add, and a lot of them were for Girdwood, and so I wanted to make sure that community councils and GBOS had plenty of time to review it, make comments, you know, provide letters. So I want to make sure that there's a good 2 months in there between, you know, today when I put it on the interwebs and when we have public hearing. And so hopefully we'll have a work session with the new commission members next month, and then public hearing in March.
And is that normally the second Wednesday of the month? The reason I say that is our GBOS meeting, if it is the second Wednesday, will be the following Monday. So we won't actually have that 2 months. We'll only have one regular meeting.
I've kind of moved it to it used to be the second Thursday. And
right. Second Thursday, sorry.
I have it the third Thursday now.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So
yeah, I didn't see the date published, so if it's the third Thursday, that'll work. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other hands or comments on any of the HLB topics? So we can...
Yeah, Bob Wolf.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of point out, especially to the Anchorage Assembly, that there's not a lot of permittees in that industrial park who do not have a purchase option coming before them. The 3 people in phase 1 are that group. The other group in phase 2 are myself, the Girdwood Board of Supervisors lot, and I do believe the fire department. And so there's only 3 entities that are looking to get a designated land space, whether it's platted, surveyed, or whatnot. I offered to survey 4 years ago and do the improvements myself, and all I got was like, we can't do that. Phase 2, with the permittees that are there and were ignored by Heritage Land Bank when they did phase 1, should be, you should maybe look into phase 1A, and that's just finishing off the 3 of us. And that way you have all the time in the world to go ahead and develop the rest of your industrial park. But at this place, there's a lot of hopefullys and maybes and maybe we could do's. But I need answers. I know Kyle and the Board of Supervisors lots and the road supervisor are working under the same mud hole conditions out in the open, in the weather, every day. And right now I have a 150-foot extension cord running across muddy, wet ground. We need improvements and we need them desperately. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Bob. Shelley, is your hand still up?
It is. So any additional development in Girdwood Industrial Park, any additional platting requires completion of the improvements. That's utilities, roads, lift station, all of that. In addition, I don't just have those 3. I have GBSA, I have Bob. Bob, we need to renew your permit and get payment. You haven't requested a renewal of your permit this year yet. I have not had the fire department pay rent in 3 years because their area was blocked by a stockpile. I have Alaska Aquaponics, which is putting in a couple $100,000 worth of infrastructure this summer. I have Girdwood Equipment Rental. I have Girdwood Community Land Trust going in. I have Straight to the Plate going in. I have Ridgetop Builders, Turnigan Tree Care. Maybe that's it. So that's 7. And, you know, I put as many people as I can in there. I have silty ground that ruts, that washes away, that is not compacted. So, you know, I do the best I can back there, but I can't, you know, I can't destroy the work that we have done back there. So, you know, it's a balancing act. So, and that's all I can say about it. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys.
Thanks. In interest of time, I think we could go to number 64, a public comment to be out before. Is there any other comments from anyone? Okay, number 6 is about the Glacier Creek Bridge, which is the packet for this meeting. Kyle, I'm sure you memorized it. Speak to it.
And what Brianna's getting at is we just finished the public process here with seeing if there was support for the concept design of replacing the hand tram with the suspension bridge on the Winter Creek Trail at the crossing of Glacier Creek. Excuse me. And we did. We received great support through our presentations at Girdwood Trails Committee, Girdwood Land Use, and then just last week, the Girdwood Board of Supervisors for the project and moving forward. As we have through our presentations, we want to recognize our partnership with Anchorage Parks and Rec, the Anchorage administration, and then also our contractual partners at R&M and Bettisworth North in their support of getting us to the conceptual presentation that we presented to the public. But basically overall, our conceptual design was focused on creating a bridge that is durable for at least 50 years, if not 100, and will function very well for the growth of the Winter Creek Trail, and then reconnect that crossing that has for the last 2 years not been functional, as the hand tram has been closed and does not look to reopen. And so our design, concept design, was to incorporate the old hand tram into the building of a new suspension bridge, and trying to bring in aesthetics of Girdwood, while at the same time creating a facility that was very durable for the weather here, long lasting and affordable. And we think we've gotten to that point so far with a $1.2 million estimate for construction, and then a $50,000 estimate for interpretive display, which would repurpose parts of the hand tram, including the cart itself and one of the terminal coverings, to create a interpretive center or interpretive piece as you come up to the new suspension bridge if it gets built. And basically, this gives you a conceptual drawing of it, what the bridge would look like. And we're reusing the old abutments from the tram. Through the next step in our process, we will definitely confirm that those abutments are in good shape. From our initial inspections, we do think, and we know from our maintenance records, we've taken good care of those concrete abutments. But those abutments would hopefully be repurposed and expanded upon if needed through the design work to anchor the bridge on both sides, and provide a 5-foot wide walkway, metal graded walkway, suspension type bridge cable that would go across and connect. There would be ramped approaches on each side, and the bridge would be basically built to ADA specs. So for future growth of accessibility, and as this trail improves, we recognize that accessibility to this area is getting easier and easier with equipment that's being developed to help those get out to on the trail. We came to the conclusion through our process with the public that we would go with a 52-inch safety fall protection. So that would be web meshing with a handrail on the outside of the meshing as you cross the bridge, We did propose maybe going up to 84, but it was well recognized that 84 would impede the view of many who aren't tall enough to see over it, and then also probably create another wind drag for the bridge as the bridge goes sits pretty exposed there as the winds come down valley. So 52 is actually higher than standard OSHA requirements for handrails, so it's very adequate and should be appropriate. As well, we discussed adding some maybe wood accents to the bridge, but through the process, it was definitely recognized that we wanted to stay with the all galvanized steel approach to it. Even though telephone poles may be adequate for the lifespan that we're looking for, we felt the galvanized just was completely durable and no question. It is what's used here at Alyeska for all their trams and lift towers, and it's proven to be extremely durable, and that's what we're looking for with this bridge construction. We're also looking for a bridge that is well constructed, and it does not lead to any sort of wearing and tearing from movement and things like that. So it would be a pretty stiff bridge, and should be able to support a great number of people who are crossing it at one time. Recognize that it will become probably a popular place, just like the hand tram was. We look to incorporate as much as we can of the old terminals into the bridge, and so one of the ideas is that when you approach the bridge, there's railings or sort of railings that guide you towards the bridge entrance, and we would repurpose the old mesh panels that are out there right now. They're stainless steel, they're very nice, very expensive, and repurposing them into the new bridge is a goal of ours, as well incorporating the stainless steel cable meshing for fall protection behind the handrails as you cross the bridge. We're looking at very durable, very safe crossing, and very functional, so that people can get back and forth across it. So these pictures just give you some ideas of what the bridge looks like in comparisons to the existing terminals and abutments. And you can see why we have to remove the old terminals, the old roof structures, as they conflict with the uprights and the wires out there. But we'd like to repurpose them, and one idea is to repurpose them. Well, the idea is to repurpose it as an interpretive center with the tram out there, so we can list the history of the tram and let people experience it and see the tram itself within an old terminal, so that would be built separately from the bridge. And then another idea is to take one of the terminals that is not going to be used out there and bring it back and try to repurpose it as a picnic shelter in Lions Club Park, because Lions Club has been asking for a picnic shelter for quite some time, and those would work really well. There probably have to be some modifications put in, but we could still work with the existing structure that is in great shape, as it's been protected for so many years. So we're trying to repurpose all the material as much as possible with the rebuild. Where we stand now, we are moving forward with our term contractors, R&M and Bettisworth North, and we're going to move towards a full package that would have us ready to send something out for invitation to bid. So basically all the construction documents, we would finish the cost analysis through our contractor HMS, and then we would start securing the funding. At this point in time, we have about $512,000 secured for this project. The GBOS will make a consideration about funding to appropriate to the project after we get through the full build out package and we know a very solid cost estimate on it. And then we will also be pursuing other funding avenues for this project as it moves forward. So with the strong community support and the support we've already received from the administration, and then from other interested parties out there, we do see this as a very viable project. And if we can make it happen in 22, we'd love to, but we're realistic that we may need to push it to 23. But we will be working hard away at it, and we actually have a meeting tomorrow with those contractors to get things rolling on the next phase. So this will be a thing that we update as we move forward. So that's where we stand at this point.
Great, Kyle, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board or any staff? I see a hand there. Shelley, go ahead.
Thanks, Brianna. Kyle, I guess I haven't checked with you since we got to this point. The handrails have we kept in the weight-bearing handrails?
Yes, they would be like a rigid handrail that runs internal on the walkway.
Yeah. Like the 225-pound weight-bearing?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, good. All right, yeah, I don't.
For handrails.
Yes, awesome, cool. I don't want to spend the money and the time and not have something that will keep the people in.
Yeah, and then with the wet meshing too, that will also be a difficult thing to get through.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. I also saw, if we're finished with number 6, Amy Demboski, you had your hand up, and maybe it was to circle back to the Girdwood fire.
It was. Thank you so much. So I don't have a specific detail on the actual signatures on the contracts. I do need to do a little bit more investigation on that, but I do have some new information relating to the $125,000 extra appropriation that Assemblymember Weddleton had put forward during the budget. I have gotten a note here from OMB that says the $125,000 was funded at $110,000, leaving $15,000 not funded, and that was because they ran up against the tax cap. So the total Girdwood Volunteer Fire Department operating cost right now is $493,000, as opposed to the $507,000 that was requested. So hopefully that gives you some information, and I'll have to do a little more investigating as to the details of the actual contract. But I think that's new information for everyone today.
Thank you for finding that. Anything from the board? Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why that particular item out of all the things in the municipal budget hit the tax cap.
Because that was the one and only budget amendment coming from property tax or tax dollars. And so that was a question that I had asked, is why this amendment? And that was the one amendment during the budget process that was put forward in that with that revenue source. And so that's the reason.
Okay, so that's that was the only thing under the tax cap in that set of amendments. That makes sense. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Ms. Jennifer, was your hand up?
It was, but Mike beat me to it. That was my question exactly. Thank you.
Great. Okay, any other hands or anything? Okay, I think we can move to public comment then quickly. Public comment persons offering public comment must state their full name and address. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person and must be on subjects not listed on the agenda. Anyone here for public comment? Anyone on the phones? Don't see any hands. Okay. Oh. Thank you all for coming and taking the time to discuss these important topics and issues. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. If we need one.
Move to adjourn.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good evening.